So I'm going to tie one last pattern here. In just about every river in Michigan, and I know through a lot of your rivers, we have a lot of shiners, and it's one of the main winter food sources. The river that I'm on is full of weeds, and during the summer months and towards the fall and winter, all those weeds die, and suddenly big schools of minnows that live in those weeds are now exposed to the predator fish, and so the steelhead and the lake run browns and all the resident fish feed on those minnows. So I'm going to tie just a really basic winter shiner pattern, and it's the next thing I'm going to do. Alright, I'm going to tie this pattern real nice and quick. Like I mentioned, it's a winter shiner pattern. It generically imitates a lot of bait fish. It does have a little bit of touch of color to it, so it's kind of somewhere between a natural pattern. It's got a lot of natural characteristics, but it's also got a little bit of an attractor characteristic to it. I'm just going to use a couple of bead chain eyes, and I'm just going to lash them into the front of the hook and bind them down. As I did on the previous fly, I'm going to tie in a little bit of Power Pro at the back. This fly does work just fine with a regular hook too, but I tend to like the narrower profile I can give by doing it this way. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put an overhand knot in that Power Pro, slide the knot down. This fly is going to be a little bit longer, so the loop's a little bit longer than what I made with the sculpin pattern. And we're just going to go up like so, and we're going to give this a bend over like that. And again, we want to make sure that that thread is over that extra piece, and we want to keep that knot because that's what's going to preserve our fly in case Mr. Big decides to come and play. Power Pro is notoriously hard to cut with your scissors, and as I'm demonstrating in this video. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a material that, if you've never fished this material, it's a really, really good attractive material for steelhead. It is gray olive ice craft fur, and it's extra select. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to take a little bit of this like so, and I'm just going to give it a little snip. And I'm going to actually do this, I'm going to use 2 bunches of this, so I'm going to set one aside, and I'm going to grab another bunch, and I'm going to just lay this down along the edge here. Okay, and we're not going to do a whole lot. We're going to just add a little touch of bling. This is a little bit of rainbow colored flash, looks like so. A few different colors that work really well, but the rainbow works really well. And we're just going to go down and under. These few patterns you can use, imitate these few different bait fish with very similar flash colors, and they all work equally well. So I've got that. What I'm going to do next is I am going to just add another layer of this, like so. Whoops. Maybe I'll go a little bit heavier with that. So I'm going to use just a little bit more. That one kind of fell apart a little bit. Like this. And we're just going to leave that tuft like that. That'll just help give the fly a little bit of action. There's not a whole lot to this fly, so we don't want to get too carried away with trimming things down. This is a little bit of that braid again. It's blue and green. The blue, green, and black works really well too. And I'm just going to lay this down. I'm going to lay this about 2/3 the length of the fly, and that'll just give it because there's not much to this fly, it'll give the fly a little bit more motion in the water, almost like a hackle would. So we're going to take it and fold it down. And the remainder of the pattern is really, really simple. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little dot of chartreuse. This is what kind of makes it an attractor pattern. And I'm going to lay this dot of chartreuse on the back of the eyes, like so. So that's what we have, and then I'm just going to take a little dab of this Kingfisher blue, You could also use peacock eye, would be good for this pattern. But the kingfisher blue looks nice and fishes really well. And all I'm going to do is trim that pretty close because shiners are not a very wide bait fish. And at this point we're just ready to finish that little fly off. And that's it. And you can see it's compared to the other two patterns that I did, it's a little narrower profile. And this material, this gray olive ice dubbing, it's really nice because it works really well for the steelhead, but it also works great for the trout that we have. And in the summer, just a little change in the pattern, changing the flash to silver and gold, works really well for the smallmouth bass. So with a smallmouth I would tie it on a hook instead of a shank, but there you go.